This is Fantasy Football Insider. I'm Cole Seibel, and I'm covering the top fantasy starters and the biggest football plays on this week's card. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another edition of Fantasy Football Insider, the show where I give you my top fantasy picks, my top prop bet picks, and my two Power Stack Parlay options. Let's get into it. At QB1, I'm taking Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is the 19th ranked quarterback for passing yards at 218.8 yards a game. The Cowboys defense gives up the most passing yards at 269.9 yards a game. And through the first 6 weeks, the Cowboys defense has given up the most fantasy points at the quarterback position. My fantasy forecast for Jayden Daniels is passing 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, rushing 46 yards and 1 touchdown. My overall points for Jayden Daniels at QB1 is 28.2 points. At wide receiver 1, I'm taking George Pickens. Pickens is the highest scoring wide receiver in fantasy football over the last 4 weeks. He's number 3 in the NFL in receiving yards at 525 yards, and the Commanders' defense gives up the 10th most receiving yards to the wide receiver position. Pickens is second only behind Jake Ferguson on the team with 48 targets. My fantasy forecast for George Pickens is receiving 119 yards, 1.5 touchdowns, and 9 receptions. His overall fantasy score is 25.4 points. At wide receiver 2, I'm taking Jaxon Smith-Njigba. JSN is the top-ranked wide receiver in the NFL at 116 yards a game with 696 total yards. The Texans' defense is tough, giving up the 5th least receiving yards a game at 155 yards. JSN has gone over 100 yards in 4 of his 6 games this season. My fantasy forecast for JSN is 106 yards with a touchdown and 9 receptions. His overall fantasy score for the week is 21.1 points. At running back 1, I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs is the 6th ranked fantasy football running back, averaging 17.1 points a game. The Bucs defense gives up the 5th least rushing yards a game at 88.2 yards a game. My fantasy forecast for Jahmyr Gibbs is 96 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns, receiving 35 yards with 4 receptions, an overall score of 27.1 fantasy points. At running back 2, I'm taking Quinshon Judkins. Judkins is the 15th ranked running back over the last 4 weeks with a total of 55 points. This is my dark horse pick of the week. The Dolphins defense gives up the most rushing yards a game at 168.5 yards a game. My fantasy forecast for Judkins is rushing yards 119 with 1 touchdown, receiving yards 26 with 3 receptions. His overall fantasy score for the week is 22 points. Here is this week's most added players according to Yahoo Fantasy Football. At quarterback, it's Mac Jones. At wide receiver, it's Luke McCaffrey. At running back, it's Emanuel Wilson. And for defense, it's the Miami Dolphins. My quarterback player prop analysis for this week, I'm taking Jared Goff over 2 passing touchdowns. Jared Goff has thrown 3 or more touchdown passes in 2 of his 6 games. He leads the NFL with 14 touchdown passes. My player prop analysis for wide receiver, I'm taking George Pickens over 60 receiving yards. He has gone over 64.5 yards in 4 of his 6 games, and he averages 87.3 yards a game. My player prop analysis for running back, I'm taking Quinshon Judkins. Judkins is the 15th ranked running back over the last 4 games with 55 total points, and the Dolphins defense gives up the most rushing yards a game at 165.5. For my Power Stack Parlay, I'm taking Quinshon Judkins anytime touchdown, Jared Goff over 2 passing touchdowns, and George Pickens over 60 yards. That's a plus 373 on a 3-leg parlay. For my fourth leg on this Power Stack Parlay, I'm adding Jahmyr Gibbs over 70 yards rushing. That'll bring this four-leg to plus 955. My prop bet performance through week 6 is at 61.9%, with 13 correct picks and 8 incorrect picks. That's a wrap on Fantasy Football Insider. I'm Cole Seibel. We'll be back next week with more tips, matchups, and sleepers. Until then, keep it stacking. This fantasy football show has been brought to you by the Collector's Table on eBay, where you'll find great cards at great prices. This has been a Lion's Mane production. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future shows.